Welcome to the inaugural Beer Bros and BS podcast. Each episode will be discussing what's going on in pop culture while downing a few special select brews. I'm your host, Dave, the Big Librarian. Today I'm joined with
Dan, at Dan12Con.
JJ, the Metal Chef.
Issa Lopez. And Tony Sunita.
Okay, so today we got some good brews here, and our theme is going to be comic book movies and TV shows, comic book TV shows, animated, live action. But first, the beer. Let Dan, he brought all the beer today.
Yeah, so starting off with a 2014 Maple Bacon Coffee Porter from Funky Buddha Brewery out of Oakland Park, Florida.
But how far is that from Fort Lauderdale?
It's about 10-15 minutes from downtown Fort Lauderdale and about 40 minutes from Miami. And this was initially released in 2011. They've been making improvements on it year-round. So I think it's really cool. It pours out ebony color with a frothy head. It smells like sticky maple syrup and coffee, obviously, because of the name.
Sounds like a good porn.
Issa Lopez, everybody.
That's Issa Lopez. So it's the second beer that we're going to open?
The second beer is also a Florida brewery, Cigar City, out of Tampa, Florida, and it's the 2014 version of Hunahpu's Imperial Stout.
Nice.
This is a pretty special one. It's only made once a year, and this is a stout, which is aged on cacao nibs, ancho and pasilla chilies, cinnamon, and Madagascar vanilla beans.
Woo! All right.
And the third beer we're going to open tonight?
It's brought here by Tony. Let him describe it.
Oh yeah, that is going to be Jester King's Snorkel, which is, I guess it's supposed to be a salty, like Goza style beer, made with mushrooms. So I've not tried it. I'm anxious to see what that one is like.
Mushroom beer.
And it's from Jester King Brewery out of Austin, Texas.
Okay, nice. So our topics today is we're going to be talking about comic book movies and TV shows. What's everyone's favorite comic book movie? For me, I love Iron Man. I think it's perfect, funny action. Also, out there, 300. I think that's the guy's your classic go-to action, slashing, blood, gory. Not a happy ending.
Yeah.
Spoilers.
Over the top.
Yeah, way over the top. kind of true, not really. What about you, Dan?
I feel like, you also enjoyed the aspect of all the shirtless men in the movie, right, Dave?
The greased up shirtless man.
I did not notice that, but I did appreciate the lead actor portraying Terry's got a little bit laughing there. I appreciate the Scottish man portraying the Greek king, but
all right.
Anyway, so Dan,
I'm gonna go with the obvious and say Avengers, and then also Guardians of the Galaxy.
Two favorite, huh? Good.
Yeah.
What about you, Jared?
Yeah, definitely Avengers is number one. Probably followed by The Dark Knight. If we're gonna separate Marvel and DC, I think Avengers just captures what a comic book is, and he brought it to real life. Yeah, can't beat that. How about you, Issa? What's your all-time favorite comic movie?
I would have to say Hellboy. I did like that movie.
Nice.
Has my favorite Ron Perlman as an actor, which we'll be seeing at the comic book convention in Orlando coming up in April, right?
Yep, MegaCon.
MegaCon
2015.
Yep, April 10th.
And I'm actually stoked to be going to my first comic book show.
Oh, you've never gone to the SuperCon or anything down here?
No, never.
Nice.
Be there, pop your chair with you.
Yeah, my second favorite comic book movie would have to be Iron Man.
All right, nice choice. Tony?
For me, it's The Dark Knight. I think, pretty much anything Christopher Nolan does is gold, and that movie, just everything came together. Heath Ledger, awesome Joker, just awesomely directed, great movie. And then also Avengers and Guardians of the Galaxy are, right close up there.
All right, Derek. So, what would you say is your favorite comic book TV show? It can be animated. It can be live action. For me, for me, the animation, I love the 90s X-Men, that 90s Spider-Man. They had, the rights to everybody. You saw, you saw a crossover with Spider-Man and X-Men. On Spider-Man, you saw Iron Man and War Machine. X-Men, you got to see Captain America and Wolverine in World War II.
Yep.
What about you?
I'm gonna stick with live action. I'm gonna say and go recent. I'm gonna go with the Arrow. I think, yeah.
I told you. Don't sleep on that.
With Arrow, or the Green Arrow, which they're afraid to call it for some reason, to me, it's the most comic book in a sense for a TV show, where it seems like a lot of live-action TV shows now for comics, they try and add a little too much as far as comedy or, stuff that's just not there to begin with. And I figured, sticks to it. It's nice and dark.
Do you think that's the main difference between Marvel and DC? DC wants to be serious, where Marvel is, we can be serious, we can joke around, we can do everything. That's a comic book. It's fun.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I mean, that's kind of how the comics are. They're looking for grit, isolation. Look at where Superman is, and Batman, the Batcave. Opposed to Avengers Mansion, or
They did have the Hall of Justice.
They did, but nothing felt like home in DC. These are places you can hang out, and it's a fun place. So, yeah. What about you, Dan?
I would actually go with the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles cartoon. That was classic. I grew up on it, and I think I've seen every single episode 1,000 times, and I might still have the tapes somewhere.
Nice.
And I actually liked Buffy the Vampire Slayer. That was a comic at one point, and the show was a lot of fun. The movie was pretty awful, though.
Yeah. Who's your favorite Ninja Turtle?
Michelangelo.
Any particular reason?
He's a party dude.
Would you say it's the nunchucks, or
Yeah,
orange,
I think
or the
it's,
fact he loved pizza more than the other guys?
It's the fact that he loved pizza more than the other guys. And
Is that a fact? Because, they all pretty much love pizza.
He just seemed like he would be the most fun one to hang out with. Because Raphael seemed like kind of a dick. Donatello was a dork. And Leonardo was just, Leonardo.
You heard Tony's feelings. He always wanted to be Donatello when we played Ninja Turtles when we were a kid.
and I'll tell you why. Because in the cartoon, the two guys with swords, Leo and Raph, they could never stab anyone out of any of the Foot Clan because it was a kid's show, right? So they always kicked. Donatello could actually hit people with his big stick.
That's true.
I like that, and plus, I was a nerdy kid growing up. He was the nerd of the group. Kind of, identified with Donatello.
Cool. See, and the thing I liked about Buffy is that when the series ended, they continued the show through comic books. So you had, I think it ended with season 7, and they picked it up in season 8, and they had the same characters, the same flaws. So just like Alexander had lost his eye, spoiler alert, he was like Nick Fury in the comics. They continued on that same path. And I think that's pretty good. What about you, Issa?
Well, I don't think I have a favorite comic book TV show based on a comic. I think it's more like a cartoon series, Animaniacs. I grew up watching that. Just love the zaniness of those characters.
That's the word.
What was your favorite sketch?
That was always the two mice. What was it?
Pinky and the Brain. Yeah.
So when
They
you
want to
say,
take over the world.
so maybe your favorite show wasn't Animaniacs, maybe it was Pinky and the Brain. Just saying.
It was part of that series.
That was such an underrated show. Pinky and the Brain. That should have went a little bit longer.
Well, we're talking about underrated shows. What do you think was the biggest underrated comic book movie or TV show?
Oh, that's easy. Barbed Wire.
Was that really a comic?
Yeah, it was a comic book, unfortunately. No, I'm gonna say Judge Dredd, but the newer version of it.
So just Dredd.
Dredd 3D.
Yeah.
So you think that's underrated?
Yeah, because it didn't.
So then let me ask you, do you think the Sylvester Stallone version was perfectly...
That's why. That's why I'm going with the newer version. It didn't have the big names, but
The Stallone version was terrible, but everyone rated it terribly, so, they got it right.
yeah, well, then they rated it right.
What about you, Tony?
Underrated. I would say, going back to Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the first live-action movie from the 90s.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
It's holds up today. It's still really great. And
So you don't prefer Michael Bay?
I do not.
Does anybody really?
I didn't even bother to see it.
I never caught it. I didn't catch it either.
The best thing that Michael Bay has done, I think, was that he directed the Got Milk commercial with "Ambo."
I don't know. I like Bad Boys 1 and 2.
Yeah.
I think they still hold up to today.
Pain and Gain was pretty good, actually, too.
Personally, I did not like Pain and Gain.
Really?
Yeah.
And just to go back, besides a movie, for an underrated comic TV show, and maybe some people don't even know it was a comic first, Tales from the Crypt.
Yes.
Is where it sounds like grew up with that as a kid, and I don't know, the whole show was just a fun show, and you gotta love the Crypt Keeper.
And terrible puns every episode.
One of my favorite
Yes.
underrated shows would have to be The League.
That's not a comic book show.
They were talking about the
League of Extraordinary Gentlemen?
that one.
The movie?
I'm just kidding, The League.
Okay.
I guess I messed up, guys. Sorry.
Okay, for me, it's the movie Constantine.
That's a
people.
comic book.
Yep.
Sure is.
Yep.
It's called Hellblazer. We've got a TV show. Just finished up season 1. Season 1 was, I think, pretty good. It got better and better and better till the very end. Unfortunately, it doesn't look like NBC is going to pick it up for season 2, but they may move it to Sci-Fi, and they can let it get even darker. But man, the way Constantine ended, the TV show was so good. But the movie, I mean, I understand. For you not familiar with it, Constantine is kind of like a jack of all trades in the occult.
Right.
He can do all kind of things. He can do magic. He can call upon angels and demons and gods. And in the show, in the comics, it's one of the unique comics because he always he doesn't age. He doesn't. He does age. Not in comics where the things are reset every year, 2 years where it's reset. He ages. He started out young. He got to the point where they finally reset the whole DC universe in New 52, and he actually is now younger. But before, every year he got older, he got a little wiser, his bones hurt a little more, and it was also interesting that he looks like Dan's ready for the second bottle.
He's a quick drinker.
Yeah. They had the characters, his look was based upon Sting.
Right.
And Keanu Reeves does not look like Sting.
Sting, the singer?
The singer, yeah. He's supposed to be, bleach blonde. He's supposed to have that skinny face, that high cheekbone. Where Keanu Reeves, dude.
Yeah. He looks like he should be on the beach.
Whoa.
Well, speaking of shocking things of Dan finishing his beer before everyone else, so what's the character that shocked you the most for...
Well, let me just quickly finish. I wasn't done with Constantine. The other one that I think is really underrated was Punisher. Both of them. With Thomas Jane and the one with Ray Stevenson. Ray Stevenson didn't really say anything in that. He didn't have to. Just got to kill people. That's what Punisher's about. But Marvel has the rights, so we're going to see what they're going to do with him. I'd love to see either one of them come back.
They come back. Yeah.
But for me, the most shocking that they have a show is going to be a future show. It's Supergirl. I think it's odd that they'd have a Supergirl show
Why?
rather than have a Superman show. Or, I mean, I know...
Well, they have had that. Well, they're probably
They
trying
have.
to cater to the women.
Okay, well, that's how I feel, Lisa. What would you say is your show that you're surprised? Or film that they have somebody about?
Comic book wise?
Yes, the whole episode's based on comic books.
Thank you, Big Dave.
Not the week.
Don't say Kangaroo Jack either. I'll pass on.
All right, Tony, what about you?
For me, I don't know that it's like really that shocking, but just the upcoming Daredevil show on Netflix. I've always hated Daredevil. I thought it was the lamest character, and he's getting a show.
Why do you think he's so lame?
Couldn't be less interested.
Did you see the trailer, though? It looks pretty awesome.
The trailer does look pretty good.
Yeah, not impressed. It's like, oh, okay, we're gonna make him dark. Ooh, but I don't know. It doesn't look good, and I've just never liked Daredevil.
Yeah.
Maybe they'll surprise me.
I actually liked the Affleck version of it too.
Yeah, me too.
Everybody hates on it, but I thought that it was okay. I mean, and Affleck was the bomb in fans.
Word.
Fans like a both.
What about you, Dan? Was that your?
You know, I'm actually most shocked that there was a series about Agent Carter. I thought that she was sort of not like the most interesting character, but then once I actually saw the show, it was pretty good. So, I don't know that, and I was never a big fan of Green Arrow, the Arrow series that JJ says is very good. I don't know. I have no interest in it.
I'd have to say, give it a try. Like you, I feel like you're also a Marvel fanboy like me.
I guess you'd say that.
And I was not. I heard a lot of good things about Arrow, and like we all know, Jerry either loves it or hates it.
Yep. Yeah. I didn't even read the book because I hated the character. And look, I love the show.
And the show, it really is. Maybe you'll give it a try.
And Kate Haring is really good.
Yeah, I'll check out Hawkeye Jr.
Oh, I knew you were going to go with that. No, you got to think more Batman when you're thinking of Arrow as far as the character development and whatnot. So,
Cool.
And so that brings us to
I think it's time for beer number 2.
beer number 2. Go ahead. So
Here you are.
if Dan didn't drink it all already.
I saved you guys a couple drops.
so this we're going with the Cigar City's Hunu Poos. It's an Imperial Stout. Tony, what do you? I would say I think this is Tony's favorite beer.
It's definitely one of.
Top 5, top 3, top 2.
I'd say top 10.
Wow.
Yeah, because I'm a total sour head, so I definitely prefer sour beers overall. But as far as this type of beer, the Imperial Stouts with this combination of like cacao, chocolate with vanilla, and that cinnamon and underlying chili flavor, can't go wrong.
What do you guys? Who do you guys think in all the comic book characters, either that had a film or movie? Who do you think would make the best beer? Who would be the best brewer? Issa?
The Hulk, Dr.
Banner?
Banner.
Why?
He makes some good shit, man.
I
I don't know. It's like he makes these inventions.
He kind of well, he is a scientist,
and he
but
will go nuts.
his biggest experiment did go wrong though.
Yeah. What happens if he tries the beer and it's too bitter? It'll make him angry. He's gonna wreck the whole town just because he made a bad batch of beer. He's flipping cars. Too much hop.
All right, Tony, what do you think? What character do you think would make the best beer?
Yeah, comics definitely have a lot of scientists and chemists. So Mr. Fantastic came to mind.
That was mine.
Also Ant-Man, Henry Pym.
Sure. So you're just going down scientists?
I guess so, yeah.
Go chemists. Okay. What about you, Jerry?
Well, I also put Reed Richards. One, he looks like a dork. So, a beer dork. He looks like it would have to be the perfect beer for him to get it just right. He would lock himself in the lab hours at a time to do it. Also, I would go with Doctor Strange.
I was thinking that route too. You could do a little magic. I don't see why you couldn't use a little magic. You can just, water to wine kind of thing. He can pretty much do whatever he puts his mind to it.
Yeah, beer that heals you.
Just say, this beer will taste great to everyone. And
by the power of so and so, it is thus.
Yeah,
the other one I think that would be pretty good is Nick Fury.
Really?
Yeah, I think he would Yeah,
you're drunk.
I think he would find out he already knows what's the best beer in the world. He has the recipe. He's had the recipe for years. And he would approve upon it. He would clandestinely kidnap people, put them in a secret hiding spot, make them brew it, and he'd have the best beer. Why do you think he always goes into hiding?
No, but then he would never release the best beer because he would always keep it a secret.
But you don't have to. He didn't have to release it. He just has to try it. What about you, Dan? Who do you think would make the best beer?
Tony Stark.
Nice.
I say this because I think that he would be the kind of guy that would go all out for just the best possible ingredients and the best possible formula. I think he would be the guy that would just splurge the most and be like so extravagant with it. So yeah, I think Stark would make the best one.
Do you think he would have he would use like gold flakes in his beer, or do you think he would just go for whatever would get you drunk? Like, it doesn't matter. Like,
It depends. I mean,
like he just wants to pour it down, a lady's backside and just drink it off. It falls off her curve.
I think we could agree he'd make the most expensive beer.
yeah, it would be the most extravagant, the most flamboyant, if you will. Yeah, there will be some liquid gold involved, I'm sure. Just because, why the hell not? He has all the money in the world, and even if he can make it for himself to drink, he doesn't give a crap about anybody else.
Oh, he would share. He does care. He loves Rhodey. He loves Jarvis, Pepper.
Oh, but the beer releases, the bottle releases would be the best parties. Oh,
Yeah,
he would have one every week.
If it's anything like the movies, like for his birthday party, just imagine his bottle release. Malibu or New York. Black tie event. He comes in just he comes in the suit and his suit. He probably would make a suit that would make beer.
That's a great idea.
What is this? This is the Mark Cigar City. You want to know how I can just make beer? Just like that. Filters.
In the suit.
If you could drink a beer with anybody, with any comic book character that's been in film or TV, would you go with Tony? Dan?
Well, I would Stark for the same reason we just
Same
said. Or Wolverine.
I think he'd last longer than you, though. He would, he can drink, just like Cap. He can drink and not really get drunk.
Yeah, does he get drunk?
That's true.
Does Wolverine get drunk?
He tries to. That's why he tries and drinks and drinks and drinks. And he can get to a point where he's like, there goes my buzz. Let's drink another 12-pack.
Yeah.
Right.
But then I think I would like to share a cigar with Wolverine.
Good choice, Bub.
Nice, Bob. But I would. My drinking pal would be Rocket Raccoon.
That sounds like a plan. Why?
That's a wonderful idea.
One, he'll have all kinds of fiascos trying to take people's legs or whatnot, and I'll pick up all the chicks because I'll look better by comparison because I'm human.
What about you, Issa?
I think it'd be Captain America.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Why him?
You can't get drunk either.
He can't get drunk. He can't die. I mean, he's just... He
can
probably
die.
knows his old... He probably knows
he-
good beer. He's had plenty of beer in his time.
Go ahead and say what you were going to say about the beer, Jerry.
I
You
need,
took a sip.
yeah, I need new pants after some of this Hanapoos. Oh man, the flavor after a year, after it's settled, it's freaking spectacular.
Yeah. Yeah.
What about you, Tony?
Does Captain America even drink? Isn't he like...
No, he's had a drink.
Did he get it?
In his first movie, he drank and he kind of realized at that point.
Yeah, when he thought Bucky died.
No, was it before that?
No, when Bucky fell off the train and he's like, "Oh, you know what's the worst part? I can't get drunk." And, Peggy tells him, "Well, side effects. Sorry."
I think I'm going to go with Thor, just because I want to try some Asgardian mead.
Yeah, I was thinking Thor. I agree. I was thinking Thor or Hercules. In the comic book, in the Marvel, Hercules, he loves to drink. He loves his women. He loves the party. He loves it all. So I'd have to go with him. Next up, if you'd say if you could have any superpower, what would your superpower be, Gary?
I'm going to say time travel. I'm going to go with, also going to a side subject, why isn't there a movie of a certain character, Kang the Conqueror? So with time travel, I can go all the way, into the 40th century, obtain technology and knowledge, and come back with all the superhero gear I would need to take down someone back in my current age.
Well, go ahead and tell us about Kang, for those who don't know who Kang the Conqueror is.
Well, he doesn't actually have any super strength or, really any superpowers per se, but he's a supreme genius. So, he's from the future, so it comes with a very advanced race of beings, aliens, And so he uses that technology. He mastered time travel, which he comes to wreak havoc upon everywhere.
Modern day Earth.
Right, correct. And he's just a fascinating character for someone that has absolutely no special powers outside of his intelligence. It's really interesting, and then time travel itself is an amazing concept.
Well, I would say that maybe they can get there eventually. It's just they're taking to a certain extent. You know, they're taking their baby steps. At least Marvel is, because he's a Marvel character. You know, in some comic books and certain series and certain cartoon TV shows, he's the reason they all get together. They all form together. It's to stop him. And it's kind of hard to take, you know, when you have, we could swallow a billionaire with all this money, you know, making a suit of armor. We could swallow that. We could swallow to an extent, you know, a scientist in the 40s coming up with a serum that makes you younger. You know, we can accept that. We can even, to an extent, accept some mythology and bring it in that maybe they're just more advanced than us. We can swallow certain truths, and I think we're getting to that point where maybe we can talk about time travel.
Right.
After, like, you know, Guardians.
Yeah.
And I think when Ant-Man comes out, you know, later this year, we'll be able to see, you know, more and more about how science can do this. And
yeah, exactly. If they would have released Guardians any other time, but what they did now, I think it would have flopped. I don't think people were ready for it until this instant.
I agree with that. I don't think that the Marvel Universe, especially cinematically, but just in general, has ever been as popular as it is now. And, I mean, not even just Marvel. Comic books in general overall are having a huge boom.
Yeah, it's popping now.
yeah, I agree. I had found this, came up with this stat that last year, 2014, 6 of the highest 15 domestic grossing films were based on comic books. That includes Guardians of the Galaxy, Captain America, Winter Soldier, X-Men Days of Future Past, Big Hero 6, The Amazing Spider-Man 2, and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
That's incredible.
Yeah, to think about that the highest shows, and to think that at one point you're going to have a show on, a comic book TV show on every major network. Mm-hmm. Fox, NBC, CBS, ABC, they're all going to have them. And there's a lot of people who don't like that. They say that we've lost that cinematic touch, like Gone with the Wind.
Yeah, but
And now you have, you know, these things that these guys that you've looked down upon are writing these multi-billion-dollar films, and at that point, no one wanted to associate and be. I didn't want to be, an actor who played a comic book hero and be stuck in that realm.
yeah,
And you're seeing now that some of them are kind of flipping with it, like RDJ. You know, Robert Downey reset his career.
yeah. Well, Hugh Jackman said he is going to be Wolverine until he's
He
dead.
would like to be Wolverine.
Well, yeah.
Nobody else could be
Who's going to tell him no? By this point, he's going
20th Century Fox could very well tell him no.
yeah. Then he can go to Marvel.
Nobody else should be Wolverine except for Jackman. That man is Wolverine. Nobody else will pull it off.
What do you think about your favorite superpower? If you could have a superpower, what would you want, Tony?
For me, time travel is a good one. Another one that I liked was teleportation. So I always liked Nightcrawler from the X-Men, and I just think, you know,
Would you want the same limitations that he has that you have to see where you're gonna go, or would you just like to think I'd like to be in London and then?
yeah, that'd clearly be the more desirable version.
Well, it'd be like,
and not end up in a wall, stuck in the wall in Big Ben. Oh.
What about you, Issa? What superpower would you want?
Immortal.
Immortal?
Mentality, just like Wolverine and Captain America, I guess.
Well,
But it comes to an extreme because they know they die eventually.
Well, yeah.
Neither one is really immortal.
Wolverine just died in the comics
Yeah.
last year,
Yeah.
2014, and Captain America died 3-4 years ago.
Spoiler alert.
Yep, spoilers. Spoilers, everyone,
You
sorry.
weren't caught up.
I don't read comic books as much as you do.
But just so you know, he does. You know, he can die.
No, of course.
The only ones that are immortal are like, there's really pretty much nobody in the comics except the one above all, or the Living Tribunal.
Who are those?
Those are like the ones that can when Thanos has the Infinity Gauntlet,
The Eternals.
the living tribunal comes through and says you wield too much power and takes it away from him. So when this guy holds power over all the existence, this being above him takes it away from him, and then there's a being above that.
Yeah, and
Pretty much everyone else can die. Galactus can die.
right.
Death can die, and those are comic book series based off those events have happened. But
Also Thor. The whole Ragnarok series, which is going to be the next Thor movie, is about the death of Thor and the resurrection of him as a robot. Spoiler alert.
Spoilers.
But, if you didn't know that, you probably wouldn't be listening to this.
Possibly. But you know how the movies always switch things around, so it could be completely different. So
Yeah, I think
we'll
they're going to want to keep Chris Hemsworth as long as they can.
see.
what superpower would you want?
Invisibility.
Already. Oh God.
Yeah, for all the obvious reasons.
You sneak into a girl's locker room?
Of course.
This is Dan we're talking about.
This is Dan 12 Con we're talking about.
Indeed.
Lays, there's where you can find him
that
at
was to be-
his handle.
See, for me, I think I'd power. I don't know what I'd want. Probably read minds. Yeah,
That sounds just like you.
yeah. I mean, I think it'd be great. Just imagine like how much you could win. You could discern. What kind of career you could have. Super spy. You could easily make a living off that. Have free time to do whatever else you want to do in your life. Or drunk bar games. I mean, that would be the best. Think of a number, and you say, write it down, and if you get it, I get a free drink.
Yeah, I mean,
You do love our beer here.
yeah, you go to Vegas and you can clear it out. So, yeah.
Anybody think of any odd? For me, anything odd with comic book TV shows or films?
Anything odd?
For me, I think like or weird connections. For me, it's I think it's a Doctor Who comic book connection. Like there are several characters from Doctor Who have appeared in Marvel films, even DC shows like Arrow, Merlin, and Diana Lance. Both are big characters in Doctor Who. And in Marvel, it's going to jump all the way over. You have actually the 9th and 10th Doctors are going to be characters now. It's just maybe good casting for Doctor Who. Maybe,
It wasn't Christopher Eccleston.
yeah,
And-
Eccleston. Yeah, he was, in Thor. You had Toby, what's his name? Toby Jones. He was Arnim Zola in Captain America.
Yeah, that's right.
Of course,
Ian McKellen. He was in, obviously Magneto.
don't forget Karen Gillan as Nebula in Guardians of the Galaxy and as Amelia Pond in Doctor Who.
Andrew Garfield was in Doctor Who. I mean, they had. I mean, it's a show. Don't get me wrong. Doctor Who's a show that's been on for 50 years. So obviously, Hollywood's going to pull from actors from London, specifically because they film a lot of their movies in London. So that's just a crazy connection I see. And then also the other thing I think that's odd is I feel bad for some guys like Ryan Reynolds. I feel like he's cursed.
Deadpool. The Deadpool that couldn't talk. The Merc without a mouth.
I mean, for
But
those
you
who don't
didn't
know,
expect that.
Oh, God.
Ryan Reynolds, I like the actor. I think he's a good actor. He's been in 3 comic book movies now. He was in Blade Trinity. He was Hannibal King, which is pretty much what you think who he was in that movie, in Blade Trinity, was what you think Daredevil would be, except even more so, more crazy, more loud. You have he was Green Lantern in Green Lantern.
Mm,
The less said about that, the better.
yeah, let's sweep that one under the rug.
And he was in Wolverine. He was Deadpool.
Ugh.
And
Disgraceful.
in the beginning of that
That was
movie,
not really Deadpool.
in the beginning, it was a Deadpool.
Pool of mutant energy.
I mean, it was in the beginning of the movie. If that's what you saw, what was going to happen, you're like, oh, this is going to be so good. And because of that, he has a spinoff solely from the beginning of the movie. Not and even with how bad the ending of that movie was, of how bad he was, he still got his own spinoff.
Yeah.
I don't know. What do you think, Jerry?
Well, to stick with Deadpool, I think Deadpool would have been perfect for an animated show on Adult Swim, one of those types of shows.
For like HBO.
Yeah, where he can be full blown, break the fourth wall, curse.
Yeah, I agree.
Don't give a damn. So, but as far as oddball things, I'm just gonna go with a character and say Howard the Duck. Even though it doesn't span on different, mediums, but just like, how did a character like that become one of the first, comic book films, and now he's popping up again? The new book just came out.
He was in the end of Guardians of the Galaxy.
And he's in because they're thinking about making a spin-off of
And
Howard.
just for 1 second, Jerry. Sorry to interrupt you. If you can hear Mr. Tony there pouring his mushroom beer.
So we might run away to the bathroom for a short break, or we will be celebrating joy.
Go ahead and tell us again about the third beer, Tony.
All right, so once again, this is Snorkel by Jester King Brewery out of Austin, Texas. And can't believe it. But anyway, it's based on the German Goza, which is a salty kind of beer, and it is made with mushrooms. So we poured it now. We're about to give it a go here.
I've tried it already.
Do I have to hold my nose?
It's not that bad.
No, you don't have to hold your nose. I honestly don't taste the mushroom in it.
Yeah, I don't get the mushroom at
It's
all.
just a slightly, slightly salty beer.
It smells like a Goza.
Yeah, you definitely get the saltiness of it. It feels like it needs like some crackers in it or something.
Crackers sound pretty good.
Oyster mushrooms.
They're oyster crackers. Stick those in there.
You do kind of get it in the finish.
Yeah, I
The
agree.
mushrooms. It almost kind of has like a mushroom pizza taste, like in the finish, I think.
What do you?
Very interesting beer.
Yeah, to say the least.
Let me ask you, play a little what if. If you could be in any comic book movie or TV show, what would you be in? Dan?
I would, well, obviously I'd want to be in the Avengers. I mean, isn't that going to be everybody's answer? But also, I'd want to be on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., the TV series, just because of Sky.
I knew someone was going to say that.
Somebody has maybe a crush on Chloe Bennett?
I mean, I'm sure more than just somebody.
I think you've stolen all of our answers.
No, well, actually, I'm going to say Guardians of the Galaxy. Just for the fact that it looked like they had a hell of a good time filming that movie. Even the extras that were in the background, if you see the Blu-ray extras, where they do the dance-off, bro, and all the extras are dancing. That just seems like a fun time and a fun universe to party with. Lisa?
I'd have to say he stole my idea. It's good. Guardians of the Galaxy. Guardians of the Galaxy. It looked fun. It just looked fun, and the chick was hot. The what's her name?
Exactly.
No,
Exactly.
Galaxy?
Blowy Kennett.
Who?
Blowy Kennett.
She's blowing me.
Not if you can't get the names right.
So, Tony, how about you?
I'm going to go with Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. as well. But, instead of Chloe Bennett, I'm going to end up with Kobe Smulders. So if you're listening, Cobes, hit me up.
Yeah, well.
What's your Twitter handle then? He's shy, ladies. He's shy. For me, I'd have to say 300.
Ooh.
I like to be 300. Why? Because I'd be able to walk around shirtless all day. No one say anything. I'd probably have that 6-pack instead of this 12-pack or 10.
100 girls around you, fanning you with hands.
Fanning you with fans, everybody.
Or I could be Xerxes. Right? I could.
It would be the Garks that are fanning you.
Oh.
Yeah, I can say that. Are you guys, Jerry, what are you excited for any upcoming films? One film. What are you the most excited about coming out?
This is an easy one. It's Avengers Age of Ultron. and this is going to be the gateway film to Phase 3.
What would you say is your most favorite TV show?
Coming up?
Yeah. Or Return.
Or Return, I'm going to say when eventually we get to it, once they're done, I'm going to say The Defenders, which is going to consist of all the new Marvel Netflix shows, Daredevil, Iron Fist, Luke Cage, Jessica. And once I get, because it's a huge stable of characters, I want to see how they incorporate that with the rest of the films.
See if it'll be if they're gonna talk about it, maybe Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. or
Right, exactly.
Right. What about you, Tony?
Well, like everyone, I'm psyched for Age of Ultron, and of course also Guardians of the Galaxy 2. More Groot, always a good thing.
We are Groot.
We are Groot.
What about you, Issa?
Star Wars. Yeah.
Okay, good call.
Yeah.
Good call. Any particular reason?
I just want to see everyone come back together and play their old parts.
Do they still have it? See if they have it.
Yeah, I think they do. I mean, I saw Mark Hamill at Star Wars Weekends last year, and he seemed healthy. He looked just like Luke Skywalker, but older with beards, and I think he'll play the part. I think it's going to be the perfect time to bring them back.
And I think it's a good call too, because Marvel just got the rights back to publish Star Wars comic books. They had been with Dark Horse for a long time. They had written a lot of stuff, a lot of good stuff. And unfortunately, all that's now not canon anymore. Totally separate universe, and I think it's kind of sad because some of the stuff was really, really well written.
Oh, can you imagine if they ever do a crossover with Marvel characters in Star Wars now that they own the properties?
Yeah.
People would die.
You see the Millennium Falcon, you see Star Wars, and you can see Guardians of the Galaxy. I could totally see that. Walk into a cantina, see Star Wars there, joking around.
Maybe in that sense with Galaxy, but with Guardians, but
yeah, Star Wars, Han Solo joking around about this and that.
I mean, come on, Groot and Chewbacca together. It writes itself.
I can watch a whole movie and we don't need any subtitles and just watch that. Just, I'm Groot. The whole time, 3 hours.
What about you, Dan?
Well, to stand out, I'm actually going to say the new Terminator movie.
That looks awful.
You know what? I don't care. I love that whole the whole mythology of it. I think it's awesome, and I mean, you should like it. You like time travel, right? I think it's a really, really cool concept. And come on, man, Arnold.
Yeah, it's Arnold. I just, I don't know if you guys saw they leaked out the actual script for the film. I'm not going to spoil anything, but who the bad guy turns out to be is just like head shaking. I would walk out of the theater and throw the popcorn bucket at the goddamn screen.
Like everyone else, I want to see, Avengers: Age of Ultron, but I am interested in seeing the new take on the Fantastic Four.
I couldn't be less interested in that.
I know that they're doing things differently. They are going different from the comics, which all the movies do that. I mean, if you're going to go straight by the comics, then Tony Stark is going to have to be rescued by a war machine, and instead of in Iraq or Afghanistan, he's going to have to be rescued from Vietnam. You have to change with the times, see how it goes. It does look a lot darker if any of you guys saw the trailer, and it got the Stan Lee stamp of approval. Now maybe he's rubber stamped these days.
Yeah, I mean, but
I saw him last year. I talked to him last year, and he seemed pretty good to be in his 90s.
Yeah.
What didn't work back in the 70s and 60s, man, might work now with this new age, new kids,
It just seems scary that from all the Marvel heads that you're hearing, at the corporation, that they've pretty much cut off all ties to Fantastic Four and just to separate themselves.
No, it's a Fox Marvel split. Mm-hmm. That's the thing. It's Marvel wants the movies back, and Fox says no. So in turn, Disney with Marvel, which is backed by Disney, has said then, okay,
More books.
we're not gonna promote you. We're not gonna give you free promotion through comic books and toys. You may own rights to film, but we own rights to comic books, to toys, everything that would boost your sales.
Yeah, well, when you poo-poo on Galactus and turn him into a cloud, I don't blame him.
Well, I mean, they lost rights to other things. They wanted to keep, I believe, they wanted to get Galactus for the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and they tried to negotiate Daredevil with Fox. Daredevil said, no, you cannot use Galactus. So they took back Daredevil. And this upcoming year is Marvel's. Well, I don't know if they. I think that was. I don't think that was Fox. Punisher was Fox. I think it was like something else, New Line, or they had. They were gonna totally cut ties. Marvel's 75th anniversary is coming up this year, and there's no promotional art that includes Doctor Doom.
Wow.
And the best villains ever. You know.
Well, that's another episode.
Yeah. That's why we're here. You know, who would be your favorite villain, Tony?
Favorite villain? It's a good question.
What about
While you're brainstorming, while he's brainstorming, it's a no-brainer for me. It's Thanos.
Any particular reason?
I can go down an endless list of 1,000 reasons.
Give me 2 reasons.
One, my favorite comic book story of all time, The Infinity Gauntlet. Just his evilness. I mean, he has no remorse, no regrets. Just his backstory is really interesting. He looks badass.
See, my only thing is, he couldn't be my favorite bad guy because he's got his weakness. You know what his biggest weakness is?
A woman.
A woman. I don't know.
Isn't it true?
For me,
I would say that's true. Most guys.
Okay, my favorite villain, supervillain, Doctor Doom. Not only is he just as smart as Reed Richards, scientifically, he's almost on par magically with Doctor Strange. So he could just fight and just do magic if he wanted to. He could, if he wanted to build a device, he's the leader of his own country. He reports to nobody. When at one point in the comics, Norman Osborn, the Green Goblin, says something to him, he just looks at him and says, "Who are you to think that you can talk to me?" Taskmaster said something to him and said, "Osborn, who is this that speaks to Doom?" He doesn't even. He refers to himself in the third person. That is a type of arrogance that I love and admire. What about you, Dan?
Loki.
Loki.
Because
I feel bad. I feel like he's just a whiny. I want to be leader.
Well, not only the movie version of him, but in general, I think he's. I like the whole mythology thing, and
The Master of Mischief.
yeah. I think he's the ultimate a-hole.
In the comics, you do see him as they did do a decent job with him compared to how they have him in the movies. In the comics, he does love Thor. He doesn't hate Thor. He loves Thor. It's just that he wants to be king more than he loves Thor. Mm-hmm. And anybody that would be in his way, he will stab you in your back or in your front. Whichever. He will do whatever he has to. He is the I would say, the top Machiavellian character.
Right. He can't best Thor with strength, so he's got to use his brain.
Well, he's as wise and calculating as Thor is strong.
I agree with that.
The cerebral assassin of sorts. To go with the wrestling.
Joker.
Oh, why the Joker?
Ever since I was little, watching the old the shows with
Adam West Batman?
yeah.
Oh wow.
And then even with the new ones, it's just been one of my favorite characters, I think. And I'm kind of looking forward to seeing. I heard Jared Leto's going to play him.
For Suicide Squad.
Yeah. And
I'm excited to see him do it as well. I think he'll pull it off.
Exactly. I think he's a great actor, and as far as
Yeah. You can't dislike anybody who loves their job that much. Like, if anybody truly loves their job, even if they're the big, like Loki, how is he's one of the most popular people in the Avengers movie?
Yeah.
Why? Because he enjoys what he does. He doesn't begrudgingly do it.
Enthusiasm is infectious.
And what about you, Tony?
Well said.
I'll go with Magneto.
Ooh, nice.
Yeah, he's he's got a really cool power of, being able to control magnetism. And the other fascinating thing about him is that, he believes that what he's doing is right. He's not an evil man, like some villains are in comics, like by his own moral code, he's doing the right thing, which,
That's the same moral code that white supremacists have. No. They don't see that anything they are doing is wrong. They believe to save their race. I'm just saying. It's the same moral code. He will kill Homo sapiens to save Homo superior, which is what in the comics they call mutants. Mm-hmm. And he sees for his race, if he has to kill humans, so be it.
Well, they're trying to kill mutants.
Well, there's only this. You can't say that task and several humans stand for everybody.
And to rewind it, to put Tony on the spot here, since we were talking about the, what movies we're looking forward to, and he brought up Star Wars, and Dave was talking about changes of time. It's going to be interesting to see what is going to be the highest grossing film between Star Wars and Avengers, to see how big has the comic universe.
Star Wars, yeah. Think so?
I don't know. I think it's.
I don't know.
I think it's going to be closer to
it's going to be Avengers. I think at that time that you're going to have Star Wars come out in December, people are going to be out of town. They're not going to be with their friends. During the summer, Avengers is out. Everyone's going with their friends. They want to know, what are you doing? Mm-hmm. People do go see family in December.
They're both going to make a crap ton of money. And
Is that a standard measurement, crap ton?
It is not, but actually buttload is.
It's a metric system, right?
I think it's going to be Star Wars. I mean, you got
It's
the
Star
older
Wars.
fans too. Like, old school Star Wars fans are going to come back to see Leia and Luke and Han. I mean, that's going to be the big one, the winner for me.
Okay, so I guess that as we're nearing our end of our third beer, this concludes our first episode, podcast, or whatever you want to call this thing. You can find this in future episodes. Okay, Tony. On SoundCloud, maybe iTunes, Beer, Bros, and BS. I'm Dave, the Big Librarian. You can also find me contributing online at Tough Gnarl.
My name is Dan, and you can find me at Damn12Con, or usually at the bar.
Which bar?
And I'm JJ the Metal Chef. That's with the underscores in between, ladies and gentlemen.
Mostly ladies.
And you can find me at Twitter at Isa Lopez.
And I'm Tony Snida. I'm probably going to come up with a separate Twitter account for the podcast, but I haven't done it yet.
From parts unknown.
From person.
So, till next time, everybody.
Goodbye.
Good night.
See you next time.